Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. And now, Financial Renaissance with the M's.
Your shout-outs and requests to 678-613-5857. Radio, knock them down.
And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. I am your co-host, because I'm two people. I'm a Gemini. So sometimes there's one of me or the other of me. Yes, that's right. So I am your host, Emma Folks, certified financial planner. And I can actually be serious every once in a while, but not today. We are blessed to have in the studio with us Dr. Dionne Bates. She's a good friend of mine, and she's brilliant. And I love brilliant people. So, Dr. Bates, say hello to everybody. Say good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
No.
You have a PhD to say good morning? Your parents are proud of you right now.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Emma. And good morning, everybody in the studio. Thank you so very much for allowing me the opportunity to come back this morning.
I love having you here. It's your hair.
Financial.
It's your hair. I'm like, how did she do that? Okay.
We can have a lesson.
Yes, definitely. So during the break, I was asking you about yourself and asking you why you decided to get into clinical psychology, or what was it about psychology that fascinated you?
Well, to be really honest, I kind of fell over into this field by accident. What I mean by that is that I was supposed to be going to law school.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and 2 weeks before it was time for me to go to law school, I came to Atlanta just for vacation. At the end of my vacation, I called my parents and said, I'm not going. And they were like, okay, well, fine, we're cutting you off, you're on your own. So after kind of flailing around for a couple of years, I started working with kids. I was volunteering with kids, and realized that I really enjoyed working with kids. And a friend of mine was about to enter her doctorate program, and she was like, have you ever thought about doing this? And I was like, no, I don't know. Because at that point, I was kind of disillusioned with school, because I decided not to go to law school, and they're like, go to school, get a degree, and you can have a job. And I was like, I'm not getting the kind of jobs that I want. So I was like, I don't know if I really want to go back to school, but I knew I wanted to do something. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up going into a master's program at the same school that my friend was at. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. And the rest is history. I just kind of kept going, and I really enjoy the work.
So listen here, parents. These are two people that were cut off by their parents when it comes to college, and we turned out just fine. So it's okay to provide that tough love with your kids. If your kids aren't doing what they're supposed to do with your money, cut those ties, cut them loose. Let them find their way. If you raised them and did what you were supposed to do with them, they will not fail. They will not fail. So listen, it's a holiday time in Hollis, Queens. So what is it about the holidays that gets people so anxious?
Well, I think first, a lot of times people are already dealing with anxiety, and maybe other emotional kinds of symptoms. But a lot of times we're not really in tune with how we're feeling emotionally on a day-to-day basis. And so if you are the kind of person who is just, you're on the go all the time, and you're an overachiever, and you're doing this and you're doing that, and you have all of these different responsibilities, when the holidays roll around, that just adds to the number of responsibilities that you have.
Yes.
And not only the responsibilities, but also demands being placed on you by family members, by friends, and even in terms of those demands that we sometimes place on ourselves. So, all of that combined can really exacerbate symptoms that we probably, some of us, experience even throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, I feel like the holidays, so what used to happen is after this particular weekend, because we do so much, I would go back to work and felt like I didn't take any time off at all.
Exactly.
And so I am like even extra wound up and upset and, everything else. And so we've had to put some things in place for our own selves because we are those people that do
Yep.
too much or, constantly on the go, on the go, on the go. And then the holidays come around and we don't have that break. And so
Right.
I think it's very important that if you're able to figure out how to get some recharge time in, right?
Because what happens is that you go into the holidays already stressed and overextended, already feeling deprived of having rest and having some downtime. And then when you hit the holidays, then you really find that you are deprived of, like you said, the rest that you want. This is supposed to be vacation. And here it is. I'm driving across the country. I'm up all night cooking.
I'm running to the airport.
I'm running to and from the store. And so, yeah, you need to be able to try to find some time and not only try to find some time, be very deliberate about finding time. And what I would even suggest is before you even start going around families, stop and think about, okay, what is it that I'm going to need in order to make this holiday?
Jack Daniels? No. Okay. Drugs and alcohol are not the answer, right?
Okay, we'll
get back to that.
We're going to talk off camera. I might have some resources for you, but I'm glad you brought that up because that's another issue for a lot of people around the holidays. Eating too much, drinking too much, spending too much.
Is eating too much? I'm not being funny. I know we all joke around. I was joking about on Thanksgiving wearing my maternity pants so I'd have enough room. But is eating too much during the holidays an issue?
Most definitely.
Oh.
This is one of the reasons why you see people come January. Yeah, I'm going to get back on my diet, and
Okay.
I'm gonna get back into this health thing. And what I would say is that if you've been going through the whole year, exercising some very healthy boundaries around food and even exercising and self-care, that you continue to take those healthy habits into the holidays.
Yeah,
with you.
vacations seem to throw it almost seems like during the vacations you should continue your normal routine so it's not as hard to go back and so you don't fall off. Because every time I go on vacation and I stop doing what I was doing before, like the eating healthy, you name it, I come back and it takes me months to get back on track.
Yeah, and I think most of us are guilty of doing it, but that's one of the reasons why we have to just be really, really deliberate and develop a plan to go into the holidays so that as we're entering into the holidays, we're not just trying to, do this, kind of fly by night kind of thing. It's almost kind of like remember when you were in school and they would have the fire drills?
Yes.
So that you would know what you needed to do in case of a fire?
Yes.
It's the same thing with the holidays. You set a plan so that when you get into the holidays, you already know what to do and you're not trying to figure it out so that when grandma brings around the rum cake or Uncle such and such brings around the moonshine. Oh, can I say moonshine?
Yeah, moonshine's not a curse.
All right. So if Uncle's, yeah, but making moonshine is, but if Uncle so-and-so brings around the corn liquor,
Right.
you already have a plan and you've already been thinking about how you're going to approach these kinds of things.
I think one of the steps that we took, because it was just that exhausting feeling, and I used to get this almost a panic attack leading up to Thanksgiving because it was so many expectations. And finally I was like, I'm not cooking. I'll hire someone to do the thing, whatever it is that whatever dishes I'm supposed to bring, I'm going to hire someone to do that, or I'll just go to Honey Bake this place.
Yeah.
Or I removed myself from that element because one year I actually brined a turkey. Right?
Oh, really?
I actually, 1 year. That was the last year that I cooked. I brined a turkey, and then, there's a lot that goes, and I was standing up for hours and hours, and then the next day, hours and hours, and I was so exhausted that I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't work, 60, 70 hours and then turn
Right.
around and put something fabulous together for the people that I love. So I still love you guys. I just do it differently.
But I think you bring up a really good point because, a lot of what we do is tradition that goes back generations and generations. And there was a point in time where our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers they were at home.
Right.
They were managing. But
Yes.
their job was to manage the household,
Right.
which was a huge feat.
Unpaid work.
When you think about the amount that went into the preparations for the food and the cooking of the food and everything, and the shopping,
having all the ingredients.
exactly. And so as you know, as generations continue to evolve, you know, we're still trying to do the same things that our foremothers did, while at the same time having careers where we're working 40, 50, 60, 70 hours,
Yeah.
and then getting in the car and traveling and having to stay up all night and cooking. And
Right.
so yeah, it's a lot more than what, you know, generations ago they had to deal with.
Yeah, when I was growing up, my grandmother was she was at home. And so she did a lot of the cooking and preparation, days before. And that was fine for her because she wasn't going out of the home during the week. But for us, it's
Yeah.
a different, it's a different story now.
But it can bring a lot of stress on family members who want to uphold those traditions, because it's like, yeah, you know, this is what we've done from year to year and this is what is expected and everybody enjoys it, but I'm leaving and I'm going home and I'm tired and I'm not telling anybody about
Right.
it. It's just coming up when somebody says, oh, who made this cornbread? Somebody put too much sugar in the cornbread. And then you all of a sudden you hear pots and pans that are slamming in the kitchen because somebody is not just pissed off because of the comment that the person made about the cornbread, but because everything is just built up. They're tired, they're stressed.
And then the other thing too, I think when it comes to families is, we're all dysfunctional. There isn't a perfect family. It's never
Right.
going to be one. We're human beings. We're going to have that level of dysfunction. And for some reason, during the holidays, there are those family members that know how to trigger people, that know how to see that you're doing your best and that you're doing a lot, but will ask you, well, how come you don't come visit more? And how come, you stay away so much? And how come this and how come that? Listen, we're going to.
I'm going to respond to that when we come back.
Yeah, when we come back. And also, when we come back, I'm going to ask Dr. Bates to tell us whether or not Charlie Brown was depressed. When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's.
This is big business. This is the American way.
Station Network.
Don't just sing the song, do it. And we're here to help with Smart Talk from programs like this, your nation's urban station, online on ssnatl.com.
And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's, live on Sensation Station Network. You can listen to us as you ride to brunch or to church or whatever it is you do on Sunday mornings at ssnatl.com, or you can go to facebook.com/notdumbeddown. That's right. That means our conversations, while they're not persnickety, they also not ratchet. All right. If you want to, you can put your comments. We're having a conversation today with Dr. Dionne Bates in the studio. She has a doctorate in clinical psychology. You should be proud of me for saying that. The PhD type of doctor, not the ED, right?
Not the MD.
Not the MD. All right. So you can't prescribe drugs. Useless. So we want the types of doctors that
No,
can
but
prescribe drugs.
I got the hookup for you.
All right, thank you. Now you just lost your license. All right, so so if you have a comment or you have a question for Dr. Bates that has to do with mental health care during the holidays, go ahead and drop your comment in the comment section. I want to thank the Black business owners of Atlanta, the Black women business owners and Black-owned businesses for tuning in this morning and watching Financial Renaissance with the M's. All right, Dionne.
Yes.
Excuse me, Dr. Bates, before the commercial, we had a conversation about family members that like to poke the bear. That's what I call it, poke the bear, that ask you those asinine questions. That's right, I said it, asinine questions. And they come, and it's not even that I feel like in some cases that the questions come from a place of caring. I think it's just you just want to irritate the crap out of me and see how much patience I have developed since I've been meditating.
I call it going fishing.
Going fishing.
Yeah. Have you ever been fishing?
Yeah.
And so, when you go fishing, you get all your stuff and you go sit down out there. And sometimes you can be out there all day before you catch anything. You throw your little line
But it's peaceful.
It is
It's
peaceful.
peaceful.
But if you have your heart on catching some fish, and you don't catch anything, you can leave frustrated.
Okay.
So you sit down, you throw your line out there. What has to happen in order for you to catch the fish?
The fish has to be hungry.
Okay.
You have to have a good lure.
Okay. But what has to happen in order for the fish to get the bait?
You know I'm not going to get this answer, right?
It has to open its mouth.
Ah.
And once it opens its mouth, it's hooked.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And sometimes that's what it's like when we're dealing with people who try to press our buttons.
You connected that dot real
Okay.
nice for me.
So
So if we don't open our mouths.
If we keep our mouths closed, because when the fish keeps its mouth closed, it gets to swim another day, and we leave angry. But when we open our mouths and we get hooked,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when
we
that's when the
get
holiday
hooked
clapback
into it.
season
That's
starts.
right.
That's
That's
what
right.
starts it up.
right. So part of it is about knowing what your triggers are.
Right.
And a lot of times I talk about, being able to be mindful and being aware of how we're feeling emotionally. Because if you know that going to Uncle So-and-so's house is going to be stressful because you're going to be around all these people and it's just going to bring up a lot of childhood memories that are painful, or it's just very chaotic, and you're part of the reason why you moved so far away was because you wanted to have peace in your home, but now you have to go back into all of the chaos. And granted, maybe you've changed, but everyone else has not changed.
Right.
Then you have to know how just anticipating going into this environment is going to impact you.
Yeah.
So anticipating this, knowing how you are feeling emotionally, and knowing what your triggers are, so that when you go into this environment, you're not allowing other people to trigger you. You are taking control over what you of your emotional of how you're feeling emotionally.
We play a trigger game.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we play a trigger game so we know who the people are that are gonna, try to catch us on the line.
Uh-huh.
So we basically, it's almost like a bingo thing with, all right, how long are we gonna be in the house before they say this, or before this, or how long before that? And so for us, it's almost funny, but because we finally realized that we're being triggered. Now that took a long time.
Yeah.
That's a new word, right? Relatively new word for the common folk. But for us, it was like, okay, if I know that this person is always going to do something to trigger me, then I shouldn't be triggered. Because if you know what to expect, if I keep my expectations low, we should be good, right?
Right. But it's more so, I think, about knowing what triggers you and you being able to control what that looks like, as opposed to allowing the other person to control whether or not you go off or whatever the case may be.
Well, yeah, we'll pick this up when we come back, because I think that's one of the things that really, really hurts people around the holidays. And then we'll also talk about the expectations of the holidays in poverty-stricken areas when we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's.
And I think we also need to talk. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, that was it.
SNATL.com is a Radio 2 Atlanta station, which provides a daily mix of awesome hits with smart talk. For the smarter listener, your choice just became clear. SSNATL.com. Radio that's not dumbed down.
All right, we are back on Financial Renaissance with the M's. You're watching us live on Sensation Station Network, and we are live in the studio with Dr. Dionne Bates. She has a doctorate in clinical psychology. I always have to get this right. And what we're asking you is to go ahead in the comment section, or you can text us if you don't want your family to see it. You can text us at 678-613-5857. And what we want to know are, what are some of the holiday triggers? What are some things that causes you anxiety or depression, or just to not feel yourself during the holidays that is brought on by your family members? And then also, what are some of the norms and traditions that you're either creating or breaking away from during the holidays? We have decided that Christmas is ours.
Yeah.
So we have literally put police tape, that yellow tape around Christmas.
Yeah.
And whatever me and Trina decide that we want to do, it could be Christmas Day. Hey, you feel like going to such and such? how much money we got? Do we, can we find a, a cheap flight? Let's go. That's just how we're doing Christmas from now on.
That's
to
an
just
awesome
alleviate
practice. That is an awesome practice.
Thank you.
I think sometimes, we forget that, traditions in our family started, but just because it's a tradition, it doesn't mean that we can't develop new traditions.
I call that being conservative. And sometimes when I call people that I know conservative, they get angry at me. And I'm like, it's not about politics. It's not about politics, but being conservative, as a matter of fact, Kay, look up the word conservative for us. But just being conservative is just literally wanting to do things the way that they've been done, and it's rooted in tradition, right? But we are evolving. We are now in the 21st century. We now don't have to cook anything. Everything that we want is an app away. It is a finger poke away on our cellular phones. Shout out to my mom for just getting her first smartphone 30 years late, but hey, welcome to the party.
Better late than never.
So during the break, you brought up seasonal affective disorder.
Or SAD, SAD. So seasonal affective disorder is a type of depression where typically an individual will experience, and usually major depressive symptoms, starting usually at the end of fall, going through the winter, and then as spring starts to come, they'll notice that those symptoms will go into remission, and it's actually fairly common. It affects women more so than men. There's probably about 5% of the population, so about 3 million people. And it can last about 40% of the year, which I mean is really a huge chunk of time. When you
that's
think
almost
about it.
half the year.
Exactly. So, like I said before, usually it starts around the fall and goes through the winter. And there are a lot of reasons for this to happen. Sometimes it can, have something to do with the amount of the serotonin levels, or sometimes the circadian rhythms that we have. For some people who are sensitive to not getting enough sunlight. And that's one of the things that I encourage people to do, even when they come into therapy, is, hey, listen, I want you to go to the doctor and get a full physical, because sometimes, particularly people who have a lot of melanin in their skin, you can be out in the sun, and I love being outside. Anyone who goes to my Facebook page, they'll see me outside all the time. But people of color don't get enough melanin in their system. And so sometimes what happens is our vitamin D can be really, really low, which can contribute to depression. It can contribute to digestive issues. It can contribute to
your nails being messed up,
your
a
nails,
whole
your
litany
hair,
of issues,
a whole lot of things. As a matter of fact, part of the reason why I like being outside so much is so that I can get the sun. But interestingly, about 2 months ago, I went and had some blood work done, and the doctor called and said, Dr. Bates, your D level is really about non-existent. I'm like, what do you mean it's non-existent? I'm outside all the time. She's like, yeah, well, I need you to go to the store, and I need you to take like 10,000 IUs for the next week. And then...
What are IUs? Come on, doctor.
Well, I don't know what IUs are. I just did what I was told.
We're that's the type medical, of...
Okay. We're talking about the medical doctor now.
Okay.
I don't do that kind of thing. I just do as I'm told.
All right.
So, but yeah, so, when those levels are messed up, it can create a lot of issues for us. And then when you add stress onto it, it can just be exacerbated.
You have to make yourself whole. One of the things I did, because I do realize I am controlled by the sun. I spent a lot of time 15 years in Southern California, and that is like my ideal place to be in the world. So I know I need the sun. So I went out last year. I realized that when I don't get enough sun, I start tripping. Like I become a little nasty Betty. And so we bought me a little light that we got off Amazon that is supposed to replicate sunlight. And that way I'm making sure I get enough of it, because especially when the time zone, when the time change, you wake up in the dark, you come home, it's the dark. I hate that.
Exactly.
I absolutely hate it. So that's one of the things that we did to just kind of fix me in the house so that I would be a little bit more even kiltered
Yeah, and those artificial lights, they work very well for a lot of people. However, sometimes individuals, they may need that, but they also may need, like I said, visit your doctor to make sure that there aren't other levels that are off. But sometimes they may need antidepressants. Sometimes it may be more of going into counseling to figure out, okay, what kinds of things do I need to do differently from a behavioral standpoint that will help me be able to get through these months.
Yeah, work less, get paid more, out of your control. Yeah, I was reading a article on the masculinity of corporate America and just reading all of the issues. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this in and of itself needs to be another show, because the working harder, that culture of if you're not working hard or working long hours, you're not doing enough.
Right,
and forget
right.
about your family.
Right, exactly.
My generation, Generation X, a lot of us broke up, got divorced and everything else because of working too much and putting a company before over our family, but
Right.
there was nothing to show for it. You worked all
Yeah.
these hours, like, where's your...
Well, a lot of times what happens too, because you're talking about putting your company over your family, and so you start looking at your priorities and this hierarchy, and I call it a totem pole, and you realize you're not even on your own totem pole.
Correct. And you have to have that nice balance. One of the things I think that is cute for the holidays that people should try. Have you heard of Yankee Swap?
No.
So Yankee Swap, it's a gift giving thing, and I'll
Okay.
talk about it when we come back from the break, and then I'll also bring up just a little bit of the history of Black Friday, or Black Violence Friday. Is that what
Okay.
they're calling it now? Or what is the hashtag? Hashtag Walmart fights. That's the other thing.
Black Friday weekend.
Black Friday weekend, which, in all seriousness, it got its name back in the 60s in Philadelphia for various reasons, which I'll bring up when we come back on the other side of the break on Financial Renaissance with the M's. And we'll have my top 5 news stories, my Emma Knows Money, and my market movers and losers. Do you want to be a winner?
Everybody successful lays a blueprint out. You laid the blueprint out. I stayed true to my dreams. And by doing that, eventually it came true.
A lot of times, it's like in life, right? Life brings like drama, and you got to deal with this person, and then funky relationship here, and all these things. You try and just kind of balance them out as best I can.
Make a choice. Like, you just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way.
Everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what real beasts do.
Unleash beast. Write your history.
Where is the money? Don't lie to me.
Show me the money. Hey, you're listening to Financial Renaissance with the M's live on Sensation Station Network. That's right. You can listen to us on ssnatl.com. Go to sensationstationnetwork.com. You can even go to facebook.com/notdumbdown, because what we have in the studio today, 2-time subject matter expert and Dr. Dionne Bates. You got a lot of brain power. Oh, and Trina has like the alphabet soup behind her name. I don't even know what she is. CIA, CFE, da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. All of that stuff. So I was remiss. Was Charlie Brown depressed?
So Emma,
Yes.
if every time you tried to kick a football and somebody removed it and you fell on your butt, wouldn't you be depressed?
First of all, I was born in the Bronx. And so if every time someone pulled a football, I believe in the South Park method of Rochambeau. Fool me once, shame on. Fool me. What did George Bush say? Fool me once, shame on. I don't know. But yeah, I couldn't go for that. That's some suburban thing.
So yeah, I think if he had to be quote unquote diagnosed in this day and age, I would probably say he would probably suffer from something that we call dysthymia.
I call it low self-esteem.
Well, that might be a part of it.
Okay. Yeah, if you had a high self-esteem, I don't think you would let somebody continue to do that to you. Good morning, Edith.
And then go to them for your therapy.
Right. Hey, listen, I want to say also good morning to the Facebook group, yes, hashtag Black Women Matter. I do matter. We matter, right? All right, Black Friday. I was talking about Black Friday because Black Friday is one of the, I love watching YouTube videos.
Black Friday weekend is no longer Black Friday.
Yes,
it
you're
starts
right, you're
on
right.
Thursday
You're
and
right.
it goes through Monday.
So, yes, Cyber Monday. So it originally got its name Black Friday because of the volume of shoppers created traffic accidents and sometimes even violence. So in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia police coined the terms Black Friday and Black Saturday to describe traffic jams, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what I found funny, though, is that retailers didn't appreciate the negative connotation of the word black, which has a whole lot of other issues with us, okay? But there was black stock market crashes, Black Monday, Black Tuesday, which kind of started the, or Black Thursday, which started the Great Depression. So Black Friday ended up meaning now that it's the most profitable Friday to retailers and for our economy. And it's actually driving consumer spending. It does almost 70% of our United States GDP happens that weekend. Yep. So since 2010, Black Friday violence has resulted in 12 deaths, 117 injuries, and the violence has become so bad that the New York Daily News has renamed it Black Eye Friday. Wait, and this should, and for all my Southern people, I'm sorry, but it's something about the South and Black Friday that brings out the best and the worst in all my evangelicals. So the most Black Friday violence are in Arkansas, Tennessee, West Virginia, North Carolina, and Alabama. The southern states where people are supposed to be so nice and neighborly and everything else. It brings out the worst in people. What kills me is when I see that people bring their kids with them to Black Friday. Oh, and here's one little notoid, factoid. Almost 60% of all the violence on Black Friday happens in Walmarts.
I can see that.
57% of Black Friday incidents within the last decade happens at Walmart. So if you're going to Walmart because you want a deal, that's Fight Club. That's low-key Fight Club. So yeah, the Yankee swap is a thing where you do a gift. Like I'll end up getting into it, but there's different things that people can do around gift giving now. So if there's like 6 people, you just buy one gift instead of buying 6 gifts. And when we come back on Financial Renaissance, we'll get into this Yankee swap, not Yankee Candle, not Yankee Christmas, Yankee swap on Financial Renaissance with the M's.
Energizing a nation, one listener at a time. It's SSNATL.com. Radio that's not dumbed down.
This country, you gotta make the money first. Then when you get the money, you get the power.
And then when you get the power, no. Hey, listen, we're back on Financial Renaissance with your M's. This is a radio show, a financial show that's unlike any other. I have the #1 financial show in the country.
Awesome.
According to my mother. So listen, Black Friday hit a record of $7.4 billion in U.S. online sales. So people on Black Friday, people didn't even really leave the house. Yes. I hate Black Friday. I hate Black Friday because I think that people in retail should be at home with their families. And it always brings me back to Color Purple with Miss Sophia. Couldn't just be with her family, and then because Miss whatever that lady's name is couldn't drive her car, and that just drove me crazy. That's how I feel when I go to retail stores and I see workers there, like the lowest paid people, the people, you know what I'm saying? Like, let them be home one day with their families without having to cater to our whims and what the heck we want. Like, get a life. All right. So the 7.4 billion in online sales this past Friday is the second biggest U.S. online sales day ever, behind last year's Cyber Monday.
Wow.
Okay, so we haven't even, I think we're going to surpass that. Cyber Monday last year was 7.9 billion. So, that's pretty dope. Now, one of the ideas that I have for a Christmas gift, some of the names may upset some of my Southern people, the people that believe in the war of Northern aggression. AKA the Civil War to everyone else. One of them is called Yankee Swap and White Elephant. Now, Yankee Swap has some tenets from the Civil War of people swapping out prisoners, et cetera, et cetera. But the basis of it is with the White Elephant is, this is, I think, what me and my family do. Me and my mom, we buy something absolutely ridiculous, like chia pets or alarm clocks that when you hit it, it takes off and, it's on wheels. And we used to buy each other like John Tesh CDs. I don't know if you know who he is.
I do know who John Tesh is.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine getting a John Tesh CD for Christmas, right? So that's kind of the White Elephant thing. And then the Yankee Swap is just a gift exchange process, but with better gifts. But everybody draws a number, and like if you have a gift and I like what you have, when it's my turn, I'll swap my gift out with yours. You can look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, you can look it up. So if it's the 6 of us in the room, and you go first, you pick a gift, she'll pick a gift, he'll pick a gift, and then when it's my turn, based on what you guys pick, I'll take what I want. And then you can take, we just kind of swap stuff out.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's kind of interesting. I'm not explaining it the right way, but it is dope. We did it for a couple of years, and I actually like it. And I especially like it at work because it brings out,
But I mean, I think that's a really great idea, especially, for families who have lots of people. Like my mom is one of 10.
Oh.
And so, I can remember as a kid, everybody trying to buy Christmas presents for everybody.
Yeah.
And so, you're talking about she has 9 siblings and then they all have children. And so everybody is buying a gift for everyone. And so
don't go broke during the holidays. Like, do what you can afford and figure out ways. I think the kids are priority. But even, when I do my M&O's money, there's a way to kind of deal with them when it comes to money. Like, kids are so much smarter than we give them credit for. They're so much smarter than we give them credit for. And if we just have conversations with them, you don't have to get into the nitty gritty, but if you just have conversations with them, they'll understand the whys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll understand, and especially this generation, they're way more in tune with stuff than we were. We were the gimme, gimme, gimme. These kids have more feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're more emotionally intelligent, I think, than we were back in the day.
But being able to set that priority, that's one of the things that can definitely help. And I think, we've talked about that a little bit earlier on the show when it comes to finances, having a budget and setting that so that what you can and what you can't afford, so that you go and you buy according to what you want to buy. The other thing too is that some people have stop necessarily going and buying things, but are doing things a little bit differently, where they may be, I'm going to give my time this year. So rather than going and buying a whole bunch of stuff that maybe someone doesn't need, I'm going to spend my time with you. What do you want to do? Maybe I'm going to take you somewhere. Maybe I'm going to, maybe I'm going to take you to lunch or take you to a show.
How about I just spend time with you without my phone, without any interruptions? Like, you don't understand
you just
the
said a word
quality time.
Yes.
Like, legit. What gets me is if my son comes over and he puts his phone down and we have like an hour or so to talk, you want to talk about feeling or if I get to spend time with my mother, my parents were just here. After Katrina and my mother, they do this thing with the stars. So once they get through with looking at the stars in the sky and looking at the planets and the space stations and blah blah blah, they both put their phones down, and then that time that we get to spend together, that helps for me. That's the recharge.
Right, exactly.
That's part of that connection that we're missing. Like, I can't connect with you over the phone. I can yell at you over my phone, but I cannot connect with you over my phone.
Exactly.
So yeah, that I think is the big thing, is just giving people your time, your undivided attention.
Right.
You cannot put a price tag on undivided attention. Watching a movie with your parents. There's so many little things that I take for granted now. That they that you used to do with your family members, and then you don't have time to even like watch a movie with your family anymore.
I remember my mom used to tell me that when she was younger, she would have to read the newspaper to her father. And now, because of my mom's sight, she cannot really read. And she used to love reading. So I sit down and I read the paper to her.
That's what I'm saying. You got to know how to get people in the hearts. Give them listen, when we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, we're going to have my top 5 news stories for the week, my Emma Knows Money, and my market movers and losers. are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's, and we are talking about our market movers and losers. All right. On the stock market, everything was down, as to be expected. Sneakerhead stocks, everything was down. Nike was down. Puma was down. Under Armour, Skechers, Foot Locker was down. The only thing that was up was Adidas. Interesting. Louis Vuitton, Moet, Chardon, whatever the heck the name of the company is, they are trying to buy Tiffany and Company. And that breaks my heart because that breaks my heart because Tiffany is American. And now these Frenchies are going to come and take up our one of our oldest fashion houses. All right. Also happening in the market that has me pausing has to do with Recession Watch. I believe it was $10 billion was borrowed by corporate America last month. And when corporations borrow a lot of money, not a good thing. And the way they borrow money is by issuing bonds. What happens is if we end up in a recession, there is a high probability that if we end up in a recession, some of these corporations are going to default on their bonds. Now, how that works. So I don't know if you can see this at home, but when a bond is rated triple B means that you're just about to have bad credit. Okay, that's in the orange zone. Once it becomes in the red zone, that means that if you have if certain bonds are in pensions, 401ks, things like that, they have to come out. So we are going to possibly see some struggling in our 401ks, in our retirement plans because of the amount of money that corporate America is borrowing. And I mean, this is serious. So you end up going from investment grade bonds, which there's different ratings. There's AAA, AA, and A under the Standards & Poor's, and then there's triple B, which now goes to medium risk. But that's all still investment grade. Once you go below triple B, that is now junk bond status. For those of you old enough to remember the late 80s with the savings and loan, junk bonds collapse, George W. Bush, blah, 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 blah. It was all a bad thing. Now, what ends up happening with investment grade bonds, when they fall down into junk bond status, they are called now fallen angels. And that means that this is a bond that was once investment grade, but has since been reduced to junk bond status because the issuing company's poor credit quality. And that is going to be a big deal. It is thought that right now about half of the bonds, investment grade corporate bonds that are out there, may actually get reduced to junk bond status because of the amount of auto loans that people are taking out. And the fact that a lot of these auto loans are more than 4 years, they're going into 5, 6, and 7 years. And usually the cars start breaking down around the 4-year mark. So there's going to be people upside down defaulting on car loans, things of that nature. So we've got a lot of bonds out there that are not safe havens. Okay. So what this really means is that if you're concerned about retirement, if you can afford it, you need to call a certified financial planner. You can go online to letsmakeaplan.org and you can find a certified financial planner because, again, it's not just about looking for the best stock or looking for the best bond. It's also what my job is to help people run away from the risk before the risk gets there. You know what I mean? So that's what we do. That's what you're going to need. If you're looking at retiring within the next 5 years and you're not working with a certified financial planner, my prayers go out to you and your family. How'd that sound? Is that good? All right. On the opposite end of the spectrum, though, so we did have a registered nurse, and she's got a whole bunch of other stuff behind her name. She says that an IU, what your doctor told you to take, okay, an IU is international units, which a unit of measure for pharmaceuticals. Now, she says that vitamins are often manufactured in IU doses. This includes vitamin E, C, and D, etc. The prescribed dose is based on IUs recommended by your physician. So was he telling you to take vitamin D?
D3.
D3. Okay, so that's what that was about. That's why you have to have listeners that are smarter than you. Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, and you will go far in life. Don't hold them back. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah.
So for the market movers and losers, we're all about to be a loser, possibly, in retirement plans, etc. But again, Just because things are down doesn't mean that it's not a good opportunity. When you're dealing in the bond space, you want to work with money managers that are proficient in knowing what's going on with bonds. There are so many different types of bonds, just like there's a different classifications of stocks. Same thing in the bond market. And typically when things are bad, we all run towards the bond market. Not this time. Not this time. When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, my top 5 news stories for the week. We are back with that smooth out. Yeah. We are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. I want to thank Dr. Dionne Bates. Listen, one of the things I love about Dionne is she's just as passionate about what she does as I am about what I do. And Dionne will work with people from all walks of life, people who deal with depression, anxiety, stress, grief, if you have LGBTQ issues, life adjustments, any type of transition. So she's not just going to focus on treatment, but on sustainable mental wellness, not wellness.
Yes.
Wellness, healing, and living affirmatively.
Yes.
So you can book your appointment with Dr. Bates by calling her office at 678-278-2002 after the holidays, before the holidays, during the holidays, whatever's going on with you. If you have, seriously, your insurance companies will usually pay for it. So definitely give Dr. Dionne a call and tell her that you heard about her on Financial Renaissance with the M's. All right, the Out Georgia Business Alliance, which is Georgia's LGBTQ plus Chamber of Commerce, is having their annual Out in the Kitchen holiday soiree. I hope you're showing up there. Oh, wow. Yeah. It'll be at the W Hotel Midtown on Thursday, December 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. Tickets can be purchased on their website at atlantagaychamber.org. And the event highlights the talents of LGBTQ plus chefs and allies with lots of tasty bites and refreshing holiday-themed beverages. You can go to atlantagaychamber.org or go to Eventbrite. And tomorrow, there will be a Cyber Monday sale, 10% off of tickets. How much are the tickets? $45. And all you can eat. $55 for non-members, $45 for members, and it is all you can eat. There's some drink tickets, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, we usually have a great time. It's one of my favorite holiday events of the year because it kicks off holidays, and there's lots of food. There's lots of different things to try.
Remember to stay healthy while you are consuming.
You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, we're not worried about that. Eat, drink, and be merry. In moderation. How about that? In moderation. Eat, drink, and be merry in moderation.
In moderation.
Yeah, we don't need people having to go to AA after this event. You know what I mean? But if you do need to go to AA in all seriousness, please go. And there's some of you that I know haven't gone because you haven't apologized to me yet. Isn't that what AA people are supposed to do? Aren't they supposed to make amends? There's some people that haven't made amends with me. But listen, I do want to say happy holidays to everyone. Thank you for everyone who watches me in Central America. I think there's some people in Uruguay, Australia, Alaska, California, Alabama, a bunch of the states, New York, my whole entire family in Canada, Japan, Costa Rica, Haiti. I think I'm missing some place. Wherever you are. London. Oh, I forgot about that. Cheerio. Good afternoon. Or good evening. It's like 8-hour difference, right? So maybe going into the evening in the UK. But shouts out to my family that's in the UK and for everybody in the UK that's listening to us. I appreciate that. If you're looking at advertising on Sensation Station or looking at advertising on the show, you can hit me up at info@EmmaKnowsMoney.com and we can talk to you about advertising, because again, if we are going into a recession, the last thing that you want to do is not advertise, because that's the time that you should be advertising. Coming up on the show, we're going to have Smooth Sensational Sunday and the live exchange with Dr. Pamela tonight at 6 p.m. And did you know Cheryl Underwood's on our station now?
No.
Yeah, you can have lunch with Cheryl Underwood tomorrow if you tune in to Sensation Station Network at 12 p.m. Awesome. Trina's back there rolling her eyes at me. Yeah, at 12 p.m. If you tune in to Sensation Station Network, she's on from 12 to 2 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then immediately after that, you can go to our local CBS affiliate, and then you can watch her on the talk. So yeah, she's down with the crew now.
Cool.
That's right. That's right. And listen, thoughts to build upon this week. I joked a lot about mental health and things like that and family, but literally you do need to take care of yourself. You are a priority. You cannot give 100% of yourself if you don't take the time to recharge your batteries, and do it in whatever way that looks like. I remember the mommy closets before we had she sheds, but do whatever you need to do as a human to just kind of isolate yourself if you need to, or if isolation is bad for you, call your family. If you're suffering from depression, people that suffer from depression don't reach out. So please call your family and friends. Let them know what you need from them during this holiday season. And as always, one love, one heart, and let's be good humans and make our ancestors proud. Peace.
Si desapareció, él me aparecerá.
Cash, scratch,